a sanskara just means an impression. In the West, we speak a lot about neural networks, neural patterning. In Indian philosophy, we speak about a sanskara. But either way, however you think about it, one way to envision it is a river that runs down a mountain. It's going to cut a valley in one place. And it's a self-perpetuating cycle, because as the river runs through, it cuts the valley deeper. And then, of course, as the valley gets deeper, it's more likely that the river is going to run through it. And each time the river runs through it, the valley gets deeper. And each time it gets deeper, it's more likely that the water will run into it. And it's the same way with our own sanskaras, our own habits. And it's interesting for me because I come from a background of psychology in the West, academic psychology, psychoanalytic psychology. And for a long time, there was this belief that somehow all you had to do with your emotions was get them out. And if you could just get them out, you would be free of them. And so there were lots of types of therapy. There still are, but slowly people are turning away from that. But there were lots of types of therapy that were all about getting it out. Screaming, yelling, baseball bats into pillows and, whatnot. Because as though my anger were somehow just like, some bad food that I ate. And if I could somehow just get it up, I would feel better. And what happens, interestingly, is that there's a massive, and I won't go into too much of the science, but I do love it. There's a massive rush of endorphins that we get. Massive rush of adrenaline that we get when you're screaming, you're yelling, you're hitting, you're screaming and crying, you're doing all these things. It's a rush. It's a rush of endorphins, it's a rush of adrenaline, it's a rush of all of these chemicals in the body, many of which give us pleasure. And so what ends up happening is in the brain, we actually do feel a lot better because we've had this extraordinary rush of endorphins. And you're tired and you've got that feeling, feel so much better. The dilemma is what we now know is that actually that's deepening a sanskara. Far from getting anything out, what you're actually doing is making it more likely that next time you're going to need to scream and yell and punch something. And now, that doesn't mean suppress or repress or deny. We have to be truthful with what's going on. But there's a way to be an honest witness that doesn't deepen the sanskara. So we're moving through the world with these impressions. And then you've got a field that in all of its best intentions is actually in many cases getting us more deeply yoked to our own dramas, to our own issues, than getting us free. Turns out we now know that anger, the more angry I get, the more likely I am to get angry. So it's the exact opposite of what we had hoped. We had thought, if I just have a good temper tantrum today, I'm gonna be done. I'll be very peaceful and calm. But actually, each temper tantrum I throw is deepening that valley, is strengthening that sanskara, so that next time I'm even more likely to throw a temper tantrum. So the questioner says, okay, I'm working with this. How do I free myself of them and lay better ones? The dilemma is all of this is taking place here. literally in our very physical brain, in our emotions, in our thoughts, and all, it all exists right here. And the problem with that is that most of us try to do the sort of one part talking to this part, and then I'm going to tell you what to do, without realizing, well, the dilemma is we're all in the same place. We're all in the same mind. All these different voices that you're having are actually all in the same mind. And so what happens is, if I say, let's say I have a sanskara of ego. So let's say that my sanskara is I'm better than everybody else, or I deserve more than everybody else, or I'm the one who should always be, the most taken care of. Or it could be the exact opposite. Because the ego, by the way, most of us, when we think of the ego, we think of it as that which says, oh, you're the best, you're the most wonderful, you're the highest. And it is. But the ego is also the one who says, you're the worst, you're the lowest, you're nothing. They're just different faces of the same ego. So, but for the sake of this example, let's say that I've got an ego that says, I'm the best, I'm the most deserving, I'm the smartest, I'm everything. Okay. So then I'm on a spiritual path, and I say, I need to get free of that sanskara that's keeping me from the truth of who I am, the truth of my divine self. Because the I am the best is an I in separation. It's me as an individual over here, separate from you, separate from you, separate from you. That about me which is best is when I realize I'm actually one with everything. And because the divine is perfect, okay, yes, I am also perfect, but I'm only perfect in that fullness, in that connection with divine perfection, not this individual self with its own ignorance and its own habits. That's not perfect. That's what we're working with. So if I've got my sanskara that says, you're the best, everybody else is, worthless and useless and stupid, and you're the only one who can do anything, you're the best one, you're the smartest, okay. Then I decide on a spiritual path, I need to free myself of that. So then I've got my mind in there saying, I'm going to free myself of that. I'm not going to think about how good I am. I'm not going to think about that I'm the best. I'm not going to think about how smart I am. I'm not going to think about how stupid those people are, how low those people are, how high I am. Well, you see what I'm doing? I'm thinking about it, right? It's like that famous joke story where they say, okay, we're going to meditate now, and whatever you do, don't think about pink elephants. Okay? Just don't think about pink elephants. So now the minute we close our eyes to meditate, what's the first thing in everybody's mind? Pink elephants, right? Now, was anybody thinking about a pink elephant before I said it? But you see here how I've created the very problem I'm trying to solve. Because by not thinking about pink elephants, I'm thinking about pink elephants. We see this a lot with addiction. Let's say I'm a smoker and I decide I'm going to quit smoking. In order to quit smoking, I have to stop thinking about smoking. Okay, so today I'm not going to think about smoking. I am not going to think about smoking. I'm going to stop thinking about smoking. I am not going to... What am I doing? What is on my mind 24 hours a day? Smoking. So the dilemma is whether you are thinking about something or you are not thinking about it. Either way, it's taking place in the same mind. So it's there. Smoking is there. Pink elephants are there, whether you are actively thinking about them or actively not thinking about them. Your mind is full of that object. That sanskara is deepening, whether you're going with it or trying to push it away. And that's the dilemma of trying to use the mind to think about the mind. Or let's say that in my life, I was abused as a child. Okay, so you go through the work, you do the healing from it. Now I'm on a spiritual path and I need to break free from that identification, from that sanskara of being abused. So, okay, I am not going to move through the world as an abuse survivor. I am not going to think about I'm not going to be a victim. They just said that to me. Yeah, I can see my first way of thinking is abuse, but I'm not going to go there. Not going to think about abuse. But all day long, I'm still thinking about abuse. It's still what my mind is occupied with. That sanskara is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So the only way to actually break free from this is to actually break free from the identification. And it's not something you can do with the mind. Because the mind is just going to keep making it go deeper and deeper. You're going to just be having the don't think about pink elephant syndrome. You have to break free from the whole identity that is wrapped up in these sanskaras. So it's not just, I'm not an abuse survivor. It's not that. It's, who am I? So rather than don't think about pink elephants, it's focus on this mantra. Focus on this image of the divine. Focus on this prayer. Focus on the flowing Ganga. It's not, I'm not going to think about the games of my mind or my sanskaras. It's, I'm going to realize the truth of who I am. I'm going to focus on that which is true, rather than not thinking about that which isn't true, and therefore filling my mind with it anyway. So instead of thinking about not smoking, I will be thinking about drinking lots of water, or I will be thinking about taking beautiful, fresh inhalations of Himalayan air. And going back to the sanskara, instead of not thinking about how I'm the best and how I'm the highest and how everybody's lower, instead of that, I'm going to think about how I'm one with everyone and everything. I'm just going to take that mind and put it on what's true, rather than focus on trying to change or undo that which isn't true. So the only way to undo the past sanskara and to create the new sanskara, the new impression, is to focus on what's true. Focus on what's light. Focus on what's full. So if I've got a sanskara toward anger, instead of not being angry, I'm going to focus on love. I'm going to focus on forgiveness. I'm going to focus on caring. I'm going to focus on that which is the truth. And that's the way out. Because all of these sanskaras are rooted in this very particular incarnation, what I've been through, what I've experienced, what I've inculcated, that which I thought was truth, but was just false. It's all rooted in who I think I am, what my place in the universe I think is, what my interaction with the universe I think is. And the only way to free myself of that is to realize that that entire being isn't real. It's like I'm spending all day long debating the merits of, Tom and Jerry, or some made-up cartoon character. Well, regardless of whether I win the debate or lose the debate, I've spent all day long with my mind focused on the merits of characters who are fictional to begin with. In the same way, that false sense of self, that small sense of self, here's what I experienced, here's what's happened to me, here's what so-and-so did or said, here's my problems, here's my challenges, here's this, here's that. This is all that made-up caricature of ourselves to keep ourselves small. And the more attention I give to it, the smaller I stay. And the only way out is to shift the focus entirely to that which is true. The fullness, the wholeness, the completeness. And to do all of that which puts me into awareness of that. My meditation, my mantra, my seva, my service, my prayers. To do all of that, to move through the world connected to every single one I meet. Can I see the divine in every single one? Can I see myself in everyone? Because that's ultimately the truth. And what you find is that all of your internal games and stuff automatically dissipates the minute you start to try to see literally yourself, your capital S self, in others. And the minute that you can catch a little glimpse of, oh yeah, there you are. Wow. Okay, amazing. The minute you have that experience of here I am in there, pulls you out of all the stories that exist only in here. And the more you can do that, the freer you become. Not because you've created some new story, but because you've freed yourself from all of them. Because what most of us do, sadly, when we embark on a spiritual path is we just give ourselves a new identity. So now I'm the spiritual one, and see, I've got my cushion, and I've got my mala beads, and I've got, I've got my incense, I've got all my accessories. I'm a very nicely accessorized, now spiritual being. And we just create a whole new persona for ourselves. So I used to be this one, and now I'm this one. We just go through our lives like that. But at least with spirituality, the whole point is to be free. So we have to, if you just move from being the guy in the mailroom to being the president of a company, okay, it's a whole new role, and now you've got new clothes and a new office and a whole new set and whatnot. All right. But at least when we're shifting into a spiritual path, we have to realize it's not about the roles. It's not about just a new persona. It's about breaking free. And therefore, whether you're earning your keep as the mailman, as the CEO, as a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a garbage man, a sannyasi, a homeless person, a beggar, whatever you may be. It doesn't matter. Because you're free. Because the self I'm seeing in you isn't the 48-year-old American female sannyasi. It's not, oh yeah, there she is. I'm not seeing my role in you. I'm seeing the role-less, persona-less, drama-less self in you. And so the more you can do that, the freer we get from our own dramas. And that's the goal. Not just to trade one for the other.